And let's talk about the next guy on Jamie's list, which is Khalil Herbert, who is RB37, being picked in about the 9th or 10th round. Was reading a training camp preview from ESPN's Courtney Cronin. And Courtney Cronin said, even if it doesn't manifest itself by week 1, it would not be surprising to see the rookie Rashawn Johnson supplant Herbert at some point this season. The Bears were drawn to Johnson for how he handled a multitude of roles at Texas, including catching passes out of the backfield and being a 4-phase special teams player. His biggest impact is in pass protection, an upgrade he could provide over Herbert and Foreman. And this is something that Heat's been harping on, why he's not super high on Herbert. But Jamie, you still have Herbert as one of their best early values.
At 37, yeah, I think he probably belongs about 5 or 6 spots up. I'm with this report. I'm with Heath. I think if you can get one of the guys from this backfield, you want to take the last one. So if we really were talking about best values, I think Rashawn Johnson is certainly on the table. You know, I think I said this from the draft. Like, he's the guy I'm most interested in this Bears backfield. But I think if Herbert does hit, then you're going to be probably disappointed that you didn't take him a little bit sooner, because they're going to give him the first opportunity. Look, he's the guy that's been with the team. The other 2 guys have been brought in, whether it's draft or whether it's, as a free agent. Now, the flip side of that is obviously this regime inherited Khalil Herbert. They didn't draft him. This regime drafted Rashawn Johnson. And I want to see if I can find somebody like this. I wonder if what the situation was at Penn State with the guys there, because they had a very crowded backfield. But, guys that profile like Rashawn Johnson, which didn't have a lot of work in college because they were behind a superstar, and then all of a sudden they get this chance in the NFL and they take off. So he's definitely the more intriguing of the 2, but I still think this is great value for a guy that, if he is the starter for the Bears, this is going to be a much better Bears offense across the board, because the passing game should be better with DJ Moore there. Justin Fields just continuing to grow as a passer. And then now this opportunity. He looked great in the times that he replaced David Montgomery. We talked about this. I know you, Adam, is a big fan of Khalil Herbert because the metrics say he's better than David Montgomery was. And so can that carry over now if he gets a full-time role? So he's going to get the first crack at it. Hopefully he takes advantage of it. If not, Rashawn Johnson should be one of your late-round dart throws for sure.
Or you could just draft both of them.
If you want to go that route, sure.
Draft Herbert first.
What about Foreman?
The first third of the season, and then Rashawn might be there for the last third.
Yeah,
you're forgetting about Foreman, right? I mean,
Foreman's going to have a role or chance to earn the job as well. I know. I think I saw a report in Aaron Wilson, who covers the NFL in Houston. I guess he just had his camp there recently, and he was talking about his opportunity to go in there and win the job. It's a wide open backfield. It's not Herbert's guaranteed to be the guy for the full season. Again, I think he'll get the first crack at it. He'll get the first carry in training camp. He'll probably get the first carry week 1. If he struggles, the other 2 guys are going to be right
to the house. He's taking that carry to the house, 75 yards, touchdown on the first play. Yeah. All right, Dave, if I could repeat the noise I just made, it was, Tony Pollard. He is first on your list here of best values, which I think was just done in terms of ADP. I don't know if you think he's the best value, but it's going 22nd overall. He's RB7. So that's kind of different. RB7 and 22nd overall. I mean, that's kind of late for RB7, I think.
Do we think that's realistic, though?
I do think it is. Where did he go?
I've seen it.
The draft last week, Jamie. Where did he go in the draft last week?
I drafted him, which was like 15.
Yeah, that should be the latest he goes.
Okay, are you sure it wasn't like 22?
Not 22. I will tell you right now. I will check.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, I think if Derrick Henry went 24th in that draft, so I think Henry or Pollard.
These guys are being viewed differently, though.
Of course.
Right, but they have similar ADPs on the website we keep referencing. But all right,
I took him 18.
Okay.
Ooh, see, I think that's a great value.
Go on, Dave. Sorry.
He's got a golden opportunity to lead the Dallas Cowboys run game, which has been awesome for fantasy for well over a decade. That includes being workable near the goal line. As an example, last year, Zeke was there. He had 19 touches inside the 5. Pollard had only 7. We know that he's an elusive playmaker on the ground, through the air, should be over the broken fibula. He had the tightrope surgery, should be good to go for training camp. How about he led the NFL in touchdowns of 20-plus yards. No one else, at least at running back, had more than 3. 12 touches of 20-plus yards, 9 of them carries, 5th most among running backs. Dude's awesome. Should see more work this year. Plays behind a great offensive line. And this is baby spoon, small sample size. But in 2 games without Zeke in 2022,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just massive games, at least 21 PPR points per game then. And he's just got this huge opportunity. I buy into him. Contract year for him because he's playing on the franchise tag. Certainly could expect the 26-year-old to finish top 5, if not top 3 at running back, given his profile as a pass-catching, do-it-all type of running back. You're just counting on him having that goal line role. As long as there's nobody like Ezekiel Elliott on that depth chart, and right now there really isn't, I think Pollard can get there. If you're getting him in mid to late round 2, it's an absolute bargain.
I'm so curious to see where he's going to fall, where we'll rank him consensus-wise, and where people will draft him if Zeke signs.
And the latest we heard on that was that it was unlikely. That was the latest report I saw, at least on Zeke coming back. So I was thinking of the mock draft we did on the air last week on Friday, which was 12 listeners, only listeners. It was a half PPR mock draft, and Pollard went 20th overall. And he went to the guy who took McCaffrey in the first round.
Oh, awesome.
Right. And I said it at the time. I don't really love RB. I love it on paper.
I love it when it's that.
But it doesn't seem to work out. However, I would never pass up RB if Tony Pollard were my second RB. That would never.
I did the same thing. I'm trying. Who did I take first?
Saquon?
I took Bijan.
Bijan?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you probably didn't think Pollard would be there in round 2.
No chance. I was planning receiver the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And if you knew Pollard were there in round 2, like if we start seeing more evidence that this ADP sticks, then I wonder if would you consider taking like Stephon Diggs over Bijan Robinson or something like that, or a couple.
Oh, if you know you're going to get him, probably not. But I could see the strategy there. I just think the more likely scenario is you're going to get you're going to see Henry, Chubb. I think Pollard going to end up being a first round pick.
Okay,
or
so
closer to top 15.
Next up on Dave's list is Dameon Pierce. He's RB 24 with an ADP at 68.5. He was number 1 among running backs with 100 or more carries in avoid rate last year. He's good at that, but he had one of the worst offensive lines in football. According to Pro Football Focus, the Texans generated the fewest yards before contact in the run game in 2022. They added Shaq Mason. Maybe that will help. But tell me why you think Dameon Pierce at RB 24 is great value.
He was on pace for almost 1,500 total yards and 7 touchdowns last year. I know that Devin Singletary's there. This guy is a better running back than Devin Singletary overall, and certainly for the scheme that they're going to run. They're looking at outside zone, wide zone, stuff that the 49ers do. I think their offensive line will be better for that. And I think the offense in general will be better. They've got a better quarterback in CJ Stroud. Don't love their pieces in the passing game, so I think that they're going to try and lean on their running backs. And I think Pierce is their best bet in short yardage, as well as just getting more work than Devin Singletary on a game-to-game basis. I think he's good. You mentioned the elusiveness. That was behind the 4th worst graded offensive line in football, which you mentioned. He did what he did last season despite averaging below 1 yard before contact per rush, which tells you how bad the offensive line is and how good Dameon Pierce is. I'm happy to take a chance on him before the end of round 5.